Hey, I'm Alex Radcliffe from Board Game Co., and this is To Back or Not to Back. We're going to be going through a variety of crowdfunding campaigns, talking about the games, the campaigns, the stretch goals, the add-ons, the pledge levels, all of that and more. And something new we'll be adding is what each campaign is doing about the tariff situation. If you missed it, there's a tariff situation. Lots of tariffs, specifically on China from the US. So if you are a US backer, I'll be talking about each campaign's policy around the tariffs, at least while this is still in the new yet in... It's weird because like a week ago, it was like things were changing every single day. Now we've had like, what, 4 or 5 days of things not changing, which almost feels stable, but things probably still will change. Well, I guess there have been changes, but they've been changes around like laptops and cell phones and things like that, not around board games. Either way, we'll be continuing to talk about this as long as it's relevant to you, and in this case, because it's something that's still in development, we will be talking about each campaign's policies. But with that, let's go ahead and dive into the campaigns, although we're going to start off as usual with our Cult of the Now. Cult of the Now is a segment where we take a look at a currently available game where there is none of this uncertainty, none of this getting it a year and a half, none of this wondering what's going to happen, none of that, just instead looking at games that are currently available, and today's game is Spectacular. Spectacular is a personal favorite of mine, although definitely check out other reviews because like I'm like here on the game and I think other people are like here. Like it's still well received in general, but I definitely like it above the average. I thought this was a fantastic game. I am always happy to play Spectacular. I think it's so much fun. But that said, you should definitely check out other people's opinions because it's a game that, you know, it's a point scoring game. You're gonna be filling up your board and just trying to figure out the best way to optimize all the various things at your disposal, but the drafting, the ways you can try to... I constantly keep trying to play this game to get a better score, and I still can't figure out exactly how to maximize that score. But check out Spectacular from Miniature Market, $35 if you want to check this one out. And with that, let's go ahead and dive into the campaigns. It's probably going to be a short week this week because we have like not a ton of campaigns. We have like 2 or 3 in the board game adjacent category. We have 2 in the not funding category, and then we have like 4 or 5 campaigns to go through. It's a pretty short week, so maybe a half-hour video? Maybe? I don't know. Let's see. Let's go ahead and find out. Timestamps to everything down below. Links and timestamps to everything down below. Starting off with our Board Game Adjacent, we have the Board Game Geek series, Artist Series 10 over here. Board Game Geek has run crowdfunding campaigns before. This is their first time that I'm aware of, at least, that they are running their Artist Series. This is something that they do where they regularly take games and they have those games done in the style of another artist. So you have like a board game artist who will do a different game. So like Andrew Bosley, who's famous for like Everdell, might end up doing a poster for, I don't even know, Casa Burgundy or something like that. You have a board game artist doing art for another game and to provide a alternate cover. Very intriguing concept, especially if you're into the board game hobby. It's a way to kind of have a testament to things at once, like a game you love and an artist you love, and hopefully finding an art print that you enjoy. This is Artist Series 10. We have 4 new posters for you. Well, they have 4 new posters for you in a variety of sizes at a variety of price points, as well as ways to get their back catalog. Like you can get all their, like if you're willing to spend $1,000 over here, you can get all of their 40 prints in a 12 by 18 size. No one's taken that particular offer yet, but if you want the newest prints in a 24 by 36 size, it's $100 a piece for $400. But there are different levels over here depending on what you want, and they do show you, the size for every space over here, giving you an idea of what each size is going to provide to your gaming space. So if you have been interested in the series in the past, this is a new way that it looks like they are selling it. I assume they'll do this going forward. It seems like an easy way to get that little extra bit of hype and buzz before they take it to the Board Game Geek store. But that is the Board Game Geek Artist Series 10. From there, we have Board Game Clothes Season 8 by Mr. Meeple. Mr. Meeple regularly runs crowdfunding campaigns around their board game clothes, which generally includes some degree of, shirts and hoodies and socks, things like that. I still have their socks. The socks are pretty good. I think I still have a few of their shirts, but I haven't gotten any new ones in a while. They have a bunch of new designs over here, including a GameFound one over here. So if you want a GameFound themed shirt over here, we have engine building, area control, the Meeple 2025, all these various designs, as well as their back catalog. You can go ahead and check it out. If you want anything board game related to tell the entire world that you are a board gamer. Fun fact, I remember, what shirt was I wearing? I think it was a Board Game Geek shirt. I remember one time, 2 years ago, I was at Legoland, I want to say, maybe a SeaWorld, Legoland, something like that. That's some theme park, whatever it was, and I was wearing a Board Game Geek shirt, and it started a conversation with somebody who was a gamer, like a random person, didn't know me from YouTube at all, but they saw the shirt, and they're like, oh yeah, board games, yay, and we had a whole conversation around board games, because I was wearing a shirt that announced to the world that I was a board gamer. So that kind of thing can definitely spark, these interesting conversations or these opportunities. Wear it loud and proud when you go to somewhere that has a whole lot of people, and suddenly you can make new friends. Mr. Meeple, sponsoring new friendships. That would be a great tagline, but that's not. That's just buy shirts and clothes if you want them. Anyways, moving on to our next board game adjacent, we have an RPG. Humblewood Beyond the Canopy. As usual with RPGs, it's more awareness. Hey, this thing exists. 3,000 backers, $370,000 raised. Cute animal art and things, but I don't go heavily into RPGs. I usually just let you know that they exist. So in case you didn't know they exist, now you know it exists. I should really, I don't know. I'm just not an RPG person, but I think awareness is a good thing. Anyways, that's basically all we got for the board game adjacent, which means we dive into the 2 campaigns that are not yet funding over here. We have Grave Trigger from Cardboard Dynamo, 206 backers, $32,000 raised. This will certainly be funded. We have 16 days left to go and a very small gap to close. This is basically a miniatures game. So it's a board game adjacent-ish. It's a miniatures game without using rulers to movement, which is a big thing that I generally don't like in miniatures games. But that's basically all I have as far as this one goes. It's a miniatures game that is focusing on, like, not a board game with miniatures. It is a miniatures game in that genre. But with some differences to the genre as well that will make it stand out. And again, not yet funded yet, but it probably will be. The other one we have in the not yet funded category is Synthetic Sins. This one definitely leans more into the likely won't be funded. We have 144 backers, 23 days left to go, and Synthetic Sins is a solo cyberpunk noir stealth action thriller. This almost certainly will not be funded, and there's a bunch of strikes against the campaign. From the fact that, and this is a tricky one to get into, there's 2 things to get into, I guess, over here. The first is the AI. Everything from the artwork to the video is just very obviously chock full of AI. Now, they don't hide this. This very much isn't the FAQ, which is the biggest thing, so obviously they are being very transparent about it. I mean, they kind of have to be with the way everything looks. But I'll say that in general, if you've watched my channel, you know that I kind of have a mixed view of AI. I think there's lots of dangers to it. I don't think it's always bad. I think it's complicated. But I definitely I definitely don't like it when AI is in any way this obvious, I guess. I like it more when I'm more tolerant of AI when it feels like a tool in the process, as opposed to when it feels like it's just thrown through this thing and then comes out looking very, 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 very AI. And this entire thing does look very AI, meaning it doesn't look like that level of effort was put into it in order to make it feel like a premium game. And then the other thing they're getting a lot of pushback on from people in the comments who are, again, even people who are fine with AI, the other thing they are getting pushback on is the price point of the game, which doesn't feel like there's a compromise on the price point. Meaning a lot of people are like, hey, if you're going to use AI to this extent, shouldn't the price reflect that? And the answer on the game generally seems to be no. The price point seems to be coming in at a premium price point, but with AI taking over a whole lot of the process. So in general, getting a lot of strikes on both fronts over there. That's going to be Synthetic Sins, and likely won't fund based on where it currently is. 23 days to go means things could creep over the finish line, but I'm skeptical that they will. Moving on to our actual board game campaigns, of which we have, what, 5? 5 campaigns is all we have today. We have a short video. Helldivers over here. Helldivers 2 from Steamforged Games. Helldivers 2, 5,000 backers, £1 million raised, 8 days left to go. Chris George dropped his five reasons not to back Helldivers. His general thing for any campaign that crosses $1 million, he does those. So if you want to check out his 5 reasons not to back it, take a look at that. But Helldivers 2, the board game, is basically, well, their take on Helldivers 2, the board game. It's going to have you playing as I don't even know what the name of the forces are. I played Helldivers once, and then I kind of didn't really care. I mean, I played the video game. I downloaded the video game. I played it, I bought it on Steam, and I played it for like an hour, and I was like, I don't care enough, and I returned it and got a refund because I just wasn't invested in what was going on. But in Helldivers, you are fighting for liberty and freedom, and you know, what is that? You want your liberty, whatever it is. Anyways, puns aside, jokes aside, you are basically fighting as these characters against the various factions in the world. The base game is going to come with, I should know the names of the factions, but the base game is coming with the various bugs, the bugs. If you watch Starship Troopers, you know what's going on over here, although there are other factions in Helldivers, and that's also going to be true in the Helldivers 2, the board game. But the basic is you have a mission that you're going to be going through, you have your planet, you have your terrain, and you have your enemy type, and you're going to combine that to generate the situation that you're playing through. This is not a campaign game, this is a game where you're going to go through generated episodes of you combine various elements, and that gives you what you're doing. Are you trying to kill 5 hatcheries? Are you trying to kill this big boss? Are you trying to survive for X number of rounds? You're basically just being thrown into a situation where you have a specific mission goal, and then when you accomplish the mission goal, you win. That's it. And along the way, you're going to be powering up. You're going to be adding more, oh my gosh, what are they called again? They're stratagems. You're going to be adding more stratagems to your kit. You're going to be starting off with either pre-generated character based on the video game, or alternatively, you can mix and match to create your own character with your own weapons. There's like a particular weapon that will blow up in your face. Very very, very fun. Anyways, over here, that's basically become a Helldiver, the galaxy's last line of defense. You have your captain, you have their specific kit. Again, some things will be unlocked as you play through the game, as you kill various bugs. You're basically going to go, or enemies, whatever enemies you're fighting against, you're going to unlock points that will then go ahead and give you those various things, those extras. You're going to be using an action initiative row, basically, where the enemy cards as well as your own cards are going to be going into a row shuffled up. It seems to drop similar to Bard Sung from Steamforge, one of the previous games, but also different in the way that it actually acts out. But then you're going to have the ability to manipulate the row if you're playing as the captain. You have all these things you can do. They have a whole gameplay video. You can watch it on their channel if you want to see a gameplay of Helldivers and see how it all plays out. But that's basically what you're trying to do. You're trying to survive while accomplishing your mission goals while taking out the various enemies along the way. As far as the various pledge levels over here, we have a few basic ones. We have the Commander Pledge for £61. This gives you the core game. It's pretty straightforward. There's not a ton of miniatures. This is not a giant miniatures game. There are miniatures, but it's not giant because you basically have multiple hordes. For the enemy hordes, you have multiple miniatures, but for all the other enemies, you only really need one sculpt for each of them because of the way that they're going to generate. Then the nests, you're going to be taking them out. You don't need an absolute ton of miniatures on the table. So it's a miniatures game, but it's not a miniatures heavy game. That's why they can have that £61 price point, which is fairly reasonable for like a typical CMON core box or that kind of thing. They generally have gone up over the years. £61 sounds darn right reasonable by comparison, but again, just make sure you understand the miniatures you're getting in it. You're not getting a small amount, but you're not getting a huge amount either. Then we have the Galactic Commander Pledge. Oh, and the Commander Pledge over here, that's basically just the board game. The Galactic Commander Pledge is going to give you the Patriotic Exosuit expansion. That's going to give you another kind of mech that goes on the table and also allows you to play true solo. A regular solo is going to have you two-handing multiple characters, and then true solo you can play with the Patriotic Exosuit, which has a kind of mech running around the table. Plus you have the Mystery expansions as well. That's going to be the Galactic Commander Pledge. And then the Hell Commander Pledge is going to give you all of those, plus the Automatons, the Impalers, the Battle Titans, and the Factory Striders as extra expansions. That's going to be seemingly your all-in pledge over here, and we will show you some of those as we scroll down, which now we're here. We scroll down, so let's show you what you got for those extra expansions over here. We have the Patriotic Exosuit expansion, which again, if you get the core pledge, you can still get this as an add-on, so you can get this regardless, although honestly, once you're getting this, price point difference-wise, you may as well get the Galactic Commander, which makes sense, it's being pledged twice the amount, and we have the vast majority of people coming all in over here. Look at that, 4,000 people at the all-in, 300 at the Commander, and 714 at the Galactic Commander. But your Patriotic Exosuit, again, this gives you a kind of mech that you can play with in true solo, so you have that extra degree of people on your side, so to speak. We have the Automatons expansion. There's going to be a big expansion giving you a full new enemy type. Ironically, I think this is the very first mission I played in actual Helldivers. I think I played against automatons and only later went against bugs, just the way it worked out. Anyways, we have the automatons over here, so these are going to be the various robot mechs over here. You have your dropship, your gunship, all the kind of bigger enemies that will help you out in dropping various enemies in your face. We have the Scout Strider, the Berserker, the Heavy Devastator, the Rocket Devastator, the Hulk Devastator, and the Annihilator tank, which does look pretty cool. So all of those are going to be available in your automaton expansion, which will open up a full new enemy type to play against in the game. Then we have the big guys. We have your Bile Titan over here, this big guy over here, and the big guys are all pretty expensive. Like most of the complaints I've seen around price point aren't around the base game. I mean, there are some, but honestly, I think it's a pretty reasonable price, but rather around these individual, like it's going to be $50 for a single expansion. If you're getting this giant miniature, yes, you don't need to, but if you do want that extra all-in or whatever it is, these things are going to be a bit more expensive adding to your price point. But we have the Bile Titan expansion giving you this giant mech relative for scale against the Helldiver over here, so again, you can see what it is you're paying for, and this is typical. Like if you remember, I don't know, Massive Darkness and their giant dragon or whatnot, sometimes the big miniatures do cost a lot, and that's definitely true over here. We have the Factory Strider, so for the automaton side of things, if you want another giant miniature on their side, we got the Factory Strider, and then we have the Impaler expansion as well, another giant miniature, slightly smaller, but with more tentacles to make up for it. And those are going to be the various extra goodies you're getting in the Hell Commander pledge over here. That's basically everything we got as far as that. The original stretch goals unlocked, we've unlocked more Helldivers. So where are the stretch goals over here? Let's go down to stretch goals. Nope. It's not on the sidebar. Game unlock content. Here we go. So, we have a bunch of new content being unlocked over here. Again, these are going to be in the free gameplay expansions. 2 expansions to be unlocked during the campaign. 1 free, 1 heavily discounted, including the Galactic and Hell Commander pledges. Then we have over here, they have the Artillerist. We have, some emote cards. The Engineer. We have the Patriot. Then I guess that's what we got. That's what we got so far for unlocked content. So yeah, so that's what we got for unlocked content. More to be unlocked as the campaign continues. And that is basically what we got for Helldivers over here. To that end, anything else to cover? New to crowdfunding, meet the squads, tariffs. Where's the tariff situation? So, tariff tariff situation wise, they talk about, well, let's talk about shipping first. Shipping is going to run you, where's shipping? Here we go. Shipping is going to run you USA mainland £23 to £68. So while those extra expansions aren't, the expansions are going to be further added to in terms of the increased shipping costs you're going to be paying for over there. But then more importantly, as far as tariffs goes, they're basically going with their approach, and a lot of campaigns are, so we'll be repeating this throughout the video, but they're going with the approach that, hey, there's no way to fully predict what the situation is going to be. For right now, we're taking a, we have a customs-free goal, but we can't guarantee anything. We will wait and see and continue to assess, and we've never had to charge sheriffs in the past. We've covered all duties in the past, and so we'll see what happens. So taking a wait and see, no guarantees, we generally strive to not charge approach. So the main thing there is it's not a guarantee, but they do seem like they'd rather not charge if they can avoid it, and also, as they correctly say, we can't predict what the tariff situation will be. And that's going to be Helldivers 2, the board game. Moving on to Dragons of Etchinstone from Chip Theory Games. $234,000 raised, 5,839 backers, 11 days to go. Dragons of Etchinstone is a redone version of the print and play from Joe Clipfeld, designer of Buttons and Bugs, Gloomhaven Buttons and Bugs. This is a handheld solo game where you're basically going to go through a sequence of fighting against a bunch of enemies, trying to go along a bunch of journeys, and eventually encountering a dragon. You can check out a playthrough I just did on my channel this past week. If you look at my live videos, I did a playthrough of Dragons of Etchinstone. Joe was helpful enough to join in the chat to help with a few questions toward the end. But Dragons of Etchinstone, that's basically what it is. It's a redone version with new art, as well as, and this is the important part for me, 2 new expansions. I will have review content for this. How many days do we have left in the campaign? 11 days to go. I will have review content for you. I'm a little bit late on that, primarily because I only got the game after the campaign started, and then I only got the rules for the expansion stuff several days into the campaign. So I will have content for you, but the main thing for me is I've already done a review on the original print and play. I really wanted to play through the expansion content, which does look pretty cool, before I give my full thoughts on it. And honestly, it might address one of my complaints with it, which is the fact that I do think the game plays similarly each time you play. It's a similar arc every time you play it, and I think the expansions will really change that up. So stay tuned for that aspect of things. But outside of that, this is a pocket-sized Chip Theory game. Chip Theory is continuing to lead into, yes, they do these giant big boxes, yes, they do Elder Scrolls, but then they also go ahead and have been doing 20 strong, as well as Dragons of Etchinstone. They're leaning into trying to get their hands onto both markets. People who don't want to spend, $200 to get a hold of a Chip Theory experience, they're trying to give people that option, which they are very successfully doing between 20 strong and Dragons of Etchinstone. Here they talk about Joe Clipfeld over here and all that stuff. They have various, reviews, testimonials. You can check out all the previous content for the print and play, because the print and play has been around for a while, so there definitely are opinions on it. This is giving you new art as well as new expansions. I don't know if there's actual gameplay changes at all. I don't remember enough from the print and play, but I've played through the print and play, and I played through the new version, but I don't remember if there's gameplay actual changes to it. But outside of that, they have a how to play. This is actually an excellent how to play, by the way, set to the soothing dulcet tones of Andrew from Chip Theory Games. This is an excellent how to play that will guide you very well through how to play the actual game. Past that, we have Dragons of Etchinstone Northvale. So wait, before I didn't focus heavily on how to play. So how to play, basically you're going to be having your hand of cards over here. So you have your actual hand of your spells or whatnot that are going to give you various stats on the side. Then you have your eventual dragon that you're fighting against over here. Well, we won't focus on him, but we will focus on the fact that you have these cards, these regions 1, 2, 3, and 4, that you're going to be going through, and each card is going to have a randomized, like, what journey are you going on? Are you going on enemy 2? Are you going on journey 3? What is it you're doing, with possible modifiers as well? And then you have to combine the various stats of your hand to try to beat the various journey or enemy that you're facing against, while also trying to be very aware of when you have to divert, which is basically when you have to give up on an encounter because you're going to lose it too hard. When you're going to have to, the lower cards, because these cards are all changeable. You can rotate and flip them, so each card has 4 states, and you're trying to level up your cards, because if you don't, you won't be able to take down the eventual dragon you're facing off against. So they all provide that little bit of challenge of trying to figure out how to combine your cards, optimize your hand, and what decisions to make along that journey in order to be powerful enough to face the dragon. Northvale is going to introduce a bunch of mages over here. So you have all these mages with Voltac over here and Mythics with their own cards over here. They're going to add to the game experience, giving you things like dual color cards or extra abilities, stuff like that on the cards that will mix up the experience to a degree, as well as something. I thought there's another. Here we go. Siege. I knew there's another expansion. I was like pausing for a second. Then we have Siege, which is going to introduce new regions over here. So we have a whole new region going on as far as different journeys to face off against. We're going to change the experience even further. Structures in Siege as well. So you're getting them besieged mage cards. So again, adding more content to the gameplay experience to change up how you play through it. Those are the things I'm going to be hopefully playing through. Maybe I'll just watch their live stream. Although the Siege expansion is coming April 22nd, maybe I won't wait instead. Anyways, that is basically what we got for the game. We have the $30 complete gameplay bundle, and then we have the strategist, but 11 people got a hold. I'm surprised that they offered the strategist even on a game like this, because the amount of strategists they have at this point has got to be getting higher and higher. Anyways, you can get the individual options, $15 for the game, $12 for each expansion over here. You can get the deluxe wallet for $15. And then as far as tariffs go, tariffs, they basically talk about how, hey, again, the world is full of uncertainty. What we can tell you is we are deeply committed to the price point offered in this campaign, that they basically say, hey, we're in fine financial footing, we plan on weathering it. Again, the wording here is interesting because this sounds about as close to a guarantee as you can get without being an actual guarantee. Like, deeply committed to the price point, we have priced with a level of confidence to mitigate any completely and utterly wild curveballs. We're in solid financial footing, prepared to weather whatever storm these tariffs bring, pledged with confidence. Like, the pledge with confidence part is the part to me that basically sounds like a guarantee, but strictly speaking, it's not a guarantee here. I would say that based on this, I'd be very, 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 very surprised if you back this and then had to pay anything on tariffs, because pledge with confidence, that to me is the statement that's like, you told me to pledge with confidence. You didn't say pledge with mostly confidence, you said pledge with confidence. So that to me is again, it sounds like a guarantee, but strictly speaking, the wording is not a guarantee. Just be mindful of that. This is not accusing chip theory of anything malicious, by the way. I think it's intended as a guarantee, but I'm not confident that it is intended as a guarantee. What I would say is, I think that barring, bizarre circumstances, like if suddenly, there's a I don't know, 10,000% tariff, whatever. But barring bizarre circumstances, I do think this one sounds like the safest campaign in terms of the tariff adjustments from what we're going to be covering today. Moving on, we have Lying Pirates over here. Lying Pirates Cities of Greed expansion from Nordic Pirate Games, 1,700 backers, 204,000 euro raised, 15 days left to go. This is an expansion to Lying Pirates, bringing you the Cities of Greed. Lying Pirates is basically a game built off the system of Liar's Dice. You have Liar's Dice as the core component. Players are going to be playing Liar's Dice, which is a game where you kind of bluff what's under your cup until eventually one player either successfully passes a bluff or until one player successfully calls a bluff. Either one, you're playing until basically the dice have been determined and someone has been wrong or right in the game. From there, you're going to move on to a sailing phase where you're going to be sailing around a grid. You have a whole grid that you're going to be sailing. Here we go. We got the grid aspect, because ultimately this is a racing game to an extent. It's a racing game driven by Liar's Dice, moving from there onto sailing, then engaging with battles against the other players, and then activating the tiles you land on. The entire thing is a very premium experience as far as the components go. Like, you have these magnetic tiles over here. You have a very variable board. You shuffle the tiles, all magnetic. Everything feels incredibly premium, from like the coins to the cups to the dice, all of that. But that's basically what's going on as far as the basic experience. It's a racing game driven by Liar's Dice, driven by battles, and driven by variable locations, of which, in a typical game, you're going to see half of the locations, if not fewer than those. As far as the expansion adds a few things. It adds two new location tiles, and it adds an entire location aspect to the game. Let me see if I can find what the expansion adds. Is there an expansion? Introducing Cities of Greed. Here we go. So we have the Mayor's Dice over here. That's going to be an extra thing as far as a new dice type over here. We have influence cards, and then we have the new tiles, and then the city cards and shields. So you basically have these locations in the game that are going to be determined when you start, and players can play influence cards to either reward allies or to hurt rivals as you play through the experience, as you play an influence card based on when people are at certain locations. So it kind of adds these Cities of Greed, these cities to the board that change the way you play through the game, and they also give you the opportunity to mess with other players in terms of, if you players who have helped you out in the game or whatnot, you can pay them back, or alternatively just screw them over, or just mess over everyone as much as you possibly can as you go through the experience. So it adds a few small twists to the game, plus of course a new die type, the Mayor's die, and then 2 new locations. As far as the pledge levels, we have a bunch over here. We have the all-in for 174 euro. This is giving you absolutely everything: premium components, base game expansion, and all of that. We have the big box for 100 euro. This includes Cities of Greed, but does not have all the extra content. We have the first edition plus Cities of Greed for 100 euro. So similar to the big box, just a little different over there. Then we have the returning backer, all in and returning backer. This assumes you have the base game, but it gives you the big box. It gives you Cities of Greed. It gives you all premium components for 105 euro. We have the Cities of Greed plus upgrade box for 35 euro. And then we have the Cities of Greed on its own for 20 euro. So all those various pledge levels to go through, and then of course the individual actual place where you can pledge those down over here. As far as various premium components, we have the big box custom insert. We have bamboo cups, metal gold coins, captain coasters, a ton of content for this. We have the Kraken Meeple. It's going to introduce new gameplay content as well, 8-player components, so a whole lot of things being added over here. As far as tariffs and shipping, so shipping over here is going to be US is going to be 10 euro, but jumping up to 15 euro, all fairly reasonable prices as far as these things go. But then as far as tariffs go, this I think is the only campaign we're covering today that does sound like they're straight up charging the tariffs, which, by the way, no shade. Different companies have to take different decisions as far as what they're doing. I completely understand companies passing on whatever costs there are as far as tariffs, but where are the tariffs notes? Where are they? I thought they were down here somewhere. Now I'm trying to find them. Nope. Here we go. Additional charges. Sales tax for U.S. and tariffs custom duties will be added in the Pledge Manager. So this one sounds like it's just going to be passed on. So whatever tariffs are in place, you likely will have to pay those based on what it sounds like over here. So that's going to be Lying Pirates plus Cities of Greed. Moving on to STARLEAP. STARLEAP over here, this is, let me scroll up to the top. Why is it not at the top? $27,000 raised, 298 backers, 24 days to go. STARLEAP is, well, basically a racing game of racing frogs, but also with dinos and ninjas if you get the expansions, as you zoom through space. This is basically a game, if you've ever played, oh my gosh, why am I blanking on this? Why am I, no, not Tortuga, no. Oh my gosh. This is a pirate game that this is the first time I'm forgetting the name. Pirate game that I can't remember. Anyways, there's a pirate game that I can't remember. Basically the idea of the game is you're kind of hopping along the board. You're going to have this board set up over here, and you're going to let's see if there's a better shot of the board. Let's see if we can scroll down to the how to play areas, how to play, and you can check out a gameplay as well as a preview on the channel. Do we have a how to play here? No, how to pledge, how to play. We're going to go to how to play. Okay, great. So basically, you have this board over here. This is the board, okay? And you have these little kind of tiles over here that are randomly generated, so you have different setups each game. But then you're going to be playing cards that will help you jump to the next available thing. So like, look at this little green spot. If a player plays a card and jumps there, well, the next player, actually that's a little more complicated. Let's go to the rocket spot. There's a little, actually, the green rocket spot. So if you land on the green spot over here, the next player to play a green card is going to jump any occupied spots to go to the next green spot, which means the player after that might play their green card as well to jump further ahead, because you can leapfrog along other players to jump to different spots. That on its own, that's what this other pirate game did, which is a very interesting mechanic to try to time all your jumping to make sure all your frogs are able to get ahead properly as you go through the experience. But then you combine that with each spot having an ability, and as well as the fact that you can be drawing cards from a deck to actually add these boost cards that are going to give you extra plays, and you basically have a whole bunch of powers and abilities to kind of play this leapfrogging game of getting as far as the chart as you can. Also, whenever you land on a planet, you're going to be boosting some of your abilities as well, giving you more stuff to do. So there's a degree of tableau building, a degree of powering up, a degree of timing, lots of powers and abilities. The game, and it all plays like a party game experience. Like, there's enough strategy that is like actually you feel rewarded when you win, but there's enough just fun and to the experience that you kind of just have a fun time whatever you're doing as you play through it. So overall, that's going to be what STARLEAP is doing. It's a sort of racing game, but also a tableau building and jumping ahead experience. Anyways, that's the more main idea of the game. As far as the expansions, we're going to introduce 2 expansions over here. We have the Ninja expansions, being our new challengers, introducing Bunny the Ronin and Tanuki the Samurai, each with unique abilities, throwing ninja stars to steal points or time your abilities to sneakily win the game. And then we have the Dino expansion, both fierce and peaceful challengers enter the race. The expansion uses magical hatchable eggs to unlock secret abilities to change up the gameplay experience. So more things that all mix up the experience. Oh, and it's designed by Robert Hova. I apologize, Robert. I don't know how to pronounce your last name. It's designed by Robert, who has done a bunch of games for like Bitewing Games. He's done Moon Rollers as well for Ivy Studios. So he has been doing a bunch of games recently. So up-and-coming game designer with a bunch of well-received games under his belt. And then as far as shipping goes, shipping's going to be $16 all the way up to $18. So again, in that very reasonable range. And then as far as tariffs go, tariffs over here are going to be, oh, did I cover the pledge levels? I don't think I did. Let's do the pledge levels before we go to tariffs. How to pledge, timeline. Let's do it on the sidebar over here. $135 for the full Galactic Pledge is giving you everything, deluxe neoprene mats, automatic, no, I want to show you all the stuff. Expansion, timeline, where is is it under the how to pledge? No. What's in the box maybe? Let's scroll down over here, because I want to show you all the various things. Expansion packs, Ninja, Dino, no, where's the things? There was a thing on this page, but I cannot find it. Okay, we're going to scroll down all the way through everything, because I remember seeing all the playmats and stuff when I scrolled through this earlier, and I don't see them right now. Is it over here? Yeah, there we go. Okay, great. Rewards over here. So we have a Cadet Pledge for $44. That's going to be the base game over here. We have the Star Pledge over here, which is the deluxe edition. It's packed with various upgrades over here. The acrylic standees, a special box sleeve, and a gold-plated token for $69. Then we have the Challengers Pledge, which is going to give you both expansions. So you're getting both expansions to the game, as well as, of course, the game itself. Then we have the full Galactic Pledge, and that's going to give you everything. The deluxe box, the playmats, the expansions, the acrylic standees, all of that stuff for the deluxe pledge, $135 over here. Shipping we already covered, which brings us to the tariff situation. As far as tariffs, are they down here? Are they a little higher? Let's scroll down and see. Tariffs, it's somewhat a little higher. So tariffs, as far as tariffs go, they basically say that they are committed to trying to not cover it. Well, they're covering up to a certain percentage themselves. Why am I having so much trouble finding things that I've already seen on this page? Because I've gone through this all, and I don't see it, but it's here. Here we go. Risks and challenges. With the ongoing seesawing of tariffs, the team is willing to take up to 110% of tariff costs. So basically, it sounds like, hey, we're gonna try to do whatever we can to cover, and we'll cover up to this percentage. At a certain point, you know, if things get out of control, we'll most likely enjoy our profits, but obviously we'll try not to go back to you, and if we really do, we'll do what we need to do. So there's a commitment to cover a certain percent, a kind of general idea that they want to cover as much as possible and eat into the profits if necessary, but then worst comes to worst, they may have to go back to backers. So that's kind of at least as a monetary commitment as far as the amount here. So again, pledge with mostly confidence on this one over here. Then we have Neon Hope, our last campaign for the day. Neon Hope I covered as far as the upcoming campaigns for the month I covered, and it's basically leaning into a Arkham Horror the card game style of game. 465 backers, $62,000 raised, 24 days to go. Neon Hope is cyberpunk meets solarpunk, and it's basically a storytelling game in a glitched utopia, but again, following a Arkham Horror approach very intentionally, like they're broadcasting that. That's them saying, hey, if you like Arkham Horror the card game, come on over here, you might like this. And they have some testimonials from people who have exactly that approach. But the game has an interactive storytelling approach. You're going to have your characters are going to have their stats, you have your stories you're going through, you're going to be making stat tests, you are using tokens over here, these various tokens. Again, if you're familiar with Arkham Horror the card game, it's going to be very familiar. You draw into the bag, draw tokens, although they do have an interesting element called the grid, which the grid is basically a way to minimize luck. Let me see if I can show you how it works over there. They have a whole video on the grid over here, but effectively you have a token grid, and as you flip tokens over, those tokens stay revealed. So you have a better idea of the odds of things as you go through your various tests in the game, which is a nice way of, I mean, it's bad news. If you flip over your good tokens too early on, it means you're basically looking at the game being like, oh, I'm in for a very bad run of tokens for the rest of this experience, well, at least until they all reset. But the flip side is, if you have a bunch of bad rolls, effectively, you do have the knowledge that good rolls are heading your way. So it gives you a degree of mitigation and planning, similar to the way, like, you know how Catan has that modifier deck where it emulates the dice roll, but it does so statistically, and as you flip things over, you have that knowledge. Similar idea over here. You have the randomness of tokens, but with more control over how the experience is going to play out. That's the basic idea over here. You're going through a story. Each time if you go through different characters, you'll have different degrees of the story. The Kickstarter extra over here is a Kickstarter exclusive character with 15 additional cards. And then, of course, you have the various pledge levels as well. Speaking of pledge levels, we have the Neon Hope base game over here for €69. That gives you the base game, the character standees, the character cards, all of that. We have the gameplay all in, which gives you the Hopeful Cause expansion. That's going to be adding additional character cards, card standees, alternative encounter cards, as well as nemesis cards for an additional challenge. And then we have the deluxe pledge over here, which gives you kind of everything, gives you the premium grid tokens, as well as a whole bunch of playmats and the acrylic standees. So everything in the previous stuff, plus acrylic premium tokens, and then various playmats for the game experience. As far as shipping over here is going to run you €24 or €28 for the game. And then as far as tariffs over here, they're basically mass producing the game in Germany. They're going to have a few elements printed in China, so they say that they're going to have a lower impact on the final cost of Neon Hope. So it does sound like they are going to be passing on the tariff costs. That's what it sounds like. It's not strictly said, but it does sound like even if it does pass on the tariff costs, it's going to be on a small aspect of the components as opposed to the full experience. So again, similar to STARLEAP, back with mostly confidence as far as where things are on the tariff situation. Anyways, that is going to be all the campaigns we have, which means now it's time for our Picks of the Week. Picks of the Week in general is where I take a look at two campaigns. One of that is my personal interest pick of the week, the game I'm most intrigued by, as well as the game that I think is most likely to hold its value. As far as personal interest pick of the week, we have STARLEAP. STARLEAP is easily my personal interest pick of the week. I had a ton of fun playing this game. It's a lot, and just full disclaimer, that we did sponsored content, take that into account, but I had a lot of fun playing STARLEAP. I really liked that original game that I can't remember the name right now, but I really liked that original game, and my biggest problem with it was that it wasn't very variable. As you played through it enough times, you kind of had the same experience each time. STARLEAP takes that experience and just makes it a so much better experience as far as the degree of variety to it, the characters, the tableau building aspect to it, and that's all before playing any of the expansions, which I think will further add to the gameplay. So STARLEAP is easily my pick of the week as far as personal interest goes. As far as value pick of the week, not a ton of great options over here. I do think Helldivers is most likely to. Steamforged in general, and my general advice with them is always, because they have had some very well received games like Monster Hunter World, but they've also had games that weren't as well received. My general advice with Steamforged is when you get their games, try them out right away. They usually do hold their value for a bit at first, and then depending on how well the game is received, some manage to stay high and some less so. So Helldivers 2 is my value pick of the week with the caveat, play it when you get it, and then immediately make a decision as to whether it's for you or not before you decide to sell it or keep it. And that is basically everything as far as the campaigns of the week, which brings to our upcoming campaigns. We have 2 over here. We only have more than 2. I generally do 2. I generally do 2 campaigns. We have Escape from Stalingrad Z Reloaded, 5,000 people following this campaign. This is a game that's been done, but this is the reloaded version from Raybox Games, giving you that, flipbook, dungeon crawler, fighting Nazi zombies kind of experience. And then we have Fairy Tale by Smart Up over here. 10,000 people following this campaign. Fairy Tale is it's a kind of dungeon crawler, but with more of a guided story, with lots of cute components, meeples, and all of that. So check out this campaign launching tomorrow as well. And that is everything. Until next time, I'm Alex Radcliffe from Board Game Co. I hope you found this video helpful, and as always, I hope you have a good one.